Are there any drummers in the house?
I play percussion. That's because you couldn't play anything else. Shut up.
Come here, dude.
Hey, man. Do you touch my drum set?
Nope.
It's just weird, because seems like someone definitely touched my drum set.
Yeah, that is weird. 'Cause I didn't touch them.
I am warning you right now, if you touch my drums, I will stab you in the neck with a knife.
Not quite my tempo. It's all good. No worries. Here we go.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Drumheads podcast. My name is Daniel, and this is the return of Adam Alesbrook to the podcast talking about affordable cymbals. I know that is an area that all of us drummers have struggled with, is finding good cymbals of, good quality for an affordable price, because drums are an expensive hobby / musical thing you can do. It's not like guitars. You buy typically 1 or 2 guitars in your set, and you may spend a lot on those guitars, but, looking at my drum set right now, there are many pieces, and they all can be quite expensive, and they can get away from you. So it's always good to have those little things you can do to find affordable cymbals. So Adam and I talked about our various ways of how we go about looking for affordable cymbals. He likes to go online, do Craigslist, eBay, and stuff like that, and just find, when people just have stuff posted, they don't know what it's worth. I go to pawn shops a lot and just, look around, because sometimes they'll have a cymbal. It's like, hey, I'll give you $20 for that Zildjian A or Z custom crash, and they'll be like, okay. And when they, it's worth more than that, especially since now it's been discontinued. It's probably worth a lot more than that. And for those who were worried, Adam was not let go by the podcast. It's just we were having, he was getting back into school. I've been super busy with my work, which is not. I'm not a full-time podcaster / drummer. I'm a full-time medical warehouse person, and father of 3, husband. So I'm very busy, and so is Adam, because he's got a family. He's a full-time teacher, and we just was for him getting back into school. Finding time was a little hard, so we managed, and now that we've kind of got back into the rhythm of life, which is always fun to do, is we can start doing them again every 2 weeks. There was a little bit of a little hiatus from Adam, and it wasn't like a self-imposed, don't come back on, I don't want you on. No, I love having Adam on. I love having that perspective and just talking shop. So welcome back, Adam. And here it is. I'm not going to start numbering these episodes. I'm just going to call this Affordable Cymbals or something like that. And, but yeah, just be sure to go check out those brands, and don't be afraid to reach out to some of these other companies. I reached out to Sovereign Cymbals, which I had a hard time saying on the podcast, because I'm like, I'm like, dyslexia. If you were a physical thing, I would punch it, because I can't stand you sometimes, because I see words, I'm like, bleh, it just goes somewhere, I don't know. But yes, or, I reached out to them, and they were like, yeah, we, here are cymbal rates, and they're very affordable. Them and Saluda and Zion Cymbals, wonderful cymbals, quality cymbals. They're just a little bit cheaper than your big, the big 4. You can guess those. I'll probably name them, because some people are like, who are the 4? And I don't want to get that message. Like, what are the 4? Zildjian, Paiste, Meinl, and Sabian. Those are the big 4 cymbal companies, and, nothing against them. Adam and I are both super big fans of all of them. But also, being a podcast of learning and exploring new avenues, it's always fun to reach out to these other brands and see what they offer as well. And also, I'm having on Dave Collingwood again to talk about cymbals here soon, so that's gonna be great. So here it is, just us talking shop about cymbals and learning some little tricks and traits and all kinds of cool things you can do to save some money. It's always good to save some money on cymbals, because gosh, those little bastards can be very expensive. So because it's like any other thing. I'm looking at my set right now, I'm like, wow, these can be a very expensive thing, and they add up really quick. So if you can find them used or cheap, and we also stress the importance of going to the store if you can. I know it's hard to find some of these more traditional or kind of raw cymbals in the stores, because they like to carry the rock cymbals and pretty much like the 5 types. So if you can go to your local music store and explore these cymbals, that's awesome. If you can't, there's multiple ways online. YouTube, mycymbal.com is a great thing. I love going there. They'll have guest celebrity drummers showing you, and then they also have staff there showing you as well. Or you can go to your big drum shops that just exclusively focus on drum gear. So like your Vic's drum shop in Chicago or Steve's drum shop in Montreal, things like that. Just go to those guys and, just really test out your cymbals, because I think that's important. And it also helps, businesses like them as well. So here it is. Cymbal advice. Do it. The return to Alesbrook. Did I say Adamsbrook? Alesbrook. My bad. See ya. Hey guys, welcome back to the Drumheads podcast, and I am joined by Adam Alesbrook. It's been a long time, man. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, it has been a long time, hasn't it?
It's between work and kids. It's like,
right.
Where's the time?
Yep.
But
definitely.
So how have you been? Just you're at a new school, so that's
with
fun.
work. Yeah, I'm in a new school. With work, it's a little more comfortable, I think. It's a little more targeted towards what I always wanted to do. Last year and the year before were kind of like a little bit of space fillers for me, I think. And this year I feel a little more at home with it, so that's good. Yeah,
it's always good to get to a classroom and you feel like you belong there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and you're teaching what grade again?
Now I'm doing 6th and 7th grade, and I'm doing math for both of those.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. So, yeah. Kids pretty cool. They're not, a bunch of what generation would they be? I guess I was trying to look that up the other day about like what generation I belong to. I'm like, I don't consider myself a millennial, but I guess I am, and it's such a weird thing.
I'm not really sure. I've never looked into it. It's gotta have some title somewhere.
Yeah, but like the internet generation or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the Pokemon Go generation.
Pokemon Go. Oh, people have like bugged the hell out of me to play that game. I'm like, I'm not playing it. I'm not gonna play it.
I ended up playing it and getting into it. Yeah. Well, I figured my summer job, I was directing or assistant director of a summer camp, and all the kids were playing it there, and a lot of my staff were people who are younger, 18-year-olds and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they said, you know what? You're going to start class in the fall, and all these kids are going to be talking Pokemon stuff, and you're going to have no idea what they're talking about. And I was like, so I said, you know what? Maybe it'll be a little bit of a professional, practice if I.
That's actually not bad advice.
Yeah.
If you think about it, yeah, because they are going to talk about that kind of stuff, and if you're like way behind the curve when it comes to that stuff, they're going to be like, oh, it's just Mr. Alesbrook and his. He just plays, Angry Birds. How lame is that,
Right, he's still playing Mario Brothers.
Yeah, it's like, what, dude, come on. Star Fox and Mario Brothers are awesome. So like,
yeah.
They're like, they look at you like, you're so old. Like, just shut up. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so today's topic is going to be, and you had suggested this one, and I think it's a great topic, is to talk about cymbal affordability. And I know every drummer can attest to the fact that, like, it's a struggle to find an affordable pair of cymbals, but not like have like skip out on quality, and it's a struggle. I know probably for you it was the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things when I used to be on the I forget what it's called now, one of the drummer forums. I used to go on there all the time, and people are always talking about cymbals, and you get these like 14-year-old kids that just like, I need to get Zildjians because they, not that Zildjians are bad, but just because they saw somebody they like playing them and they just want to have the same thing. But a lot of the feedback from like the top dogs on there that kind of know what they're talking about the most are get secondhand cymbals, play them before you buy them. Don't just buy something you don't know. And it's okay to have mix and match gear if it's the sound you want. No one's going to judge you on that. If they do, then they're doing it wrong anyway. They shouldn't be judging you on it. But.
Yeah. And I was totally one of those, kids when I was in high school that I couldn't have mixed match stuff. I had to have all my cymbals be Zildjian. And, I felt like if I didn't, I was like, like this great betrayal to Zildjian and the family, and I let them down, and I'm a horrible drummer. I don't know if it's like my OCD or it's just, I don't know. Yeah, it's just a thing. I was always that guy. It's like, he's got Sabians and and Zildjian's mixed up. What is wrong with this person? But, you know, like you said, you got to do what you got to do, especially when you're young. And,
Right.
And then getting older, you get cymbals based on how they sound versus what the brand is.
Right. Well, I say that, but
Uh-oh.
oh,
Someone's after us, Adam. We got to cut this.
evacuate. Is that you or me?
Is it me? No, I don't think it's me.
No, that's totally me.
Is your house on fire or something? I hope not.
My wife's making dinner upstairs. I'm not 100% sure what's going on.
You want to pause it real quick?
Yeah, if you don't mind doing that.
That's
that'd be
cool. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. It stopped.
I set the smoke alarm off every time I make pizza because I get the oven to like as hot as it will go, and you know my wife's like, you're gonna do it again. I'm like, I don't care. I like the pizza. You know, I want to cook it this way because it's how a true Italians cook it, and it's just a disaster. My kids are freaking out. Like, the house is burning. The house is burning. I'm like, no, it's not. It's just But
I was gonna say, as much as like that's the wisdom that's always sort of put down to have, it's okay to have mix and match, buy secondhand. I don't really do that myself. I just can't, like, and I don't know, a little bit. It's bought, like, I love my I have the Peisty Giant Beats, and I have the full John Bonham set, all the John Bonham sizes, and I love the 18-inch multi-crash. I think it's beautiful. It's very sort of like washy, just has this great tone to it. I love the 24-inch ride that I have. And recently I'm just not loving the 20 as much as I used to. And I think I don't know, it's such a big noise, I think. Like, I mean, John Bonham played it that way, but the way my band plays out, there's a lot of times where I need to, like, have a little bit of a lighter sound. And if I go for that 20, it kind of just sounds like a car crash a little bit sometimes. Not in a
bad way. Yeah. It just doesn't suit the music that you're playing.
Right. It's just big for what I'm doing. And so I tend to just play the 18 like it's going out of style. I'm going to wear it out. But that 20, I don't know. I like playing music or playing in a volume where when I hit that 20, it doesn't sound out of place. But sometimes when I hit it, it just sounds, and to me, anyway, it sounds a little out of place because it's so big.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. That's the other part is, like, even if I got a different Peisty cymbal that I like the sound of, I would feel weird having like a mix, because they're all giant beats except for that one. Like, even if it was a 2002, which is very similar, I don't know. I would bother me a little bit, a little OCD, a little.
Yeah, I totally get you. Because right now I'm rocking like 2 Meinl cymbals with 2 Zildjians, and I feel like they're like harassing each other. And I just cracked my China, which it's a 16-inch Oriental China from Zildjian, and like I was playing, and I'm like something's sounding funny. I took my headphones off, and I'm like, oh, like I've had that cymbal for 16 years, so it's like, I'm amazed it made it that long without cracking. But you know, it's like now I'm like, now I need to buy a China, and it's like there's so many options. Where do I go? You know, and do I want to get another Zildjian? Do I want to get a Meinl, or do I want to, you know, be adventurous and try some of these smaller companies that are out there? So it's I know the options for us now versus when we were in high school are, you know, it's
right.
You only had like really 4 choices, you know, and really 3, you know, because I never really heard of Meinl till I got into college, really, you know. But it was Zildjian, Sabian, and Peisty. That was your 3 choices. And
still, Peisty was always a little thin. Like, you couldn't, like, go to Guitar Center, you have your Zildjian wall, you have the corner, which is Sabian's, and you have like a random Peisty, 2002 hanging around. So they were kind of like custom ordered things, or like you'd talk to the guy and he says, "Oh, we can order them for you." Like one of those situations, more than a let's see it and play it and go home with it kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's important for me to be able to play it and hear it. But, you know,
Yeah.
I did take a leap of faith with my hi-hats, and I'm kind of satisfied. I wouldn't say I'm 100%, but, you know, I went to the store like over and over again, went to stores around, just nobody had it. And, you know, have you gone to like YouTube and gone to like mysymbol.com?
Oh yeah,
I
all
do
the
that
time.
all the time, yeah. And
Yeah.
and that's, I'm like, I heard several different ones, and like I kind of wanted to try that one, and I tried it, and I like it. I just, you know, I'm not 100% satisfied with it. It's nothing against their cymbal. It's just it wasn't quite the sound I was looking for.
Right.
But you know, that's the, I guess for drummers, it's always going to be an ongoing battle to find that perfect cymbal. You know, which sometimes it doesn't feel like you can obtain it. It's just like Moby Dick, you know.
Yeah.
Good,
Well,
and good Led Zeppelin reference right there as well.
Well, Zildjian's kind of, I'm going to use the term breaking the mold a little bit, because their Avitas line that they just came out with, that like sort of throwbacky, you know, vintage looking series. All of those, like if you buy an 18-inch crash cymbal in that line, you could buy 5 of them, and they're all going to be different weights, and they're all going to be, you know,
for sure.
slightly different character. More so than like if you buy like a Zildjian A custom, you know, 18-inch crash cymbal, they're going to be pretty much in the same spot. You know, you wouldn't be able to necessarily pick them apart. But their new ones there, the Avitas, are very, very different, very unique from each other.
Are they hand hammering them, or what's their process with those? I wonder.
The literature I read on them, I didn't pick up that they were necessarily hand hammered, but it did say that they were, you know, each cymbal has its own unique weight. So play them before you buy them, because, you know, it gives you more of that freedom to customize your tone and find like your unicorn, I guess. But
well, and I think Zildjian is like the only one that really doesn't do that many like hand hammered cymbals, if I'm mistaken. Like I know Meinl and Peisty do, especially Peisty, because they're kind of like they were kind of like innovative when it came to that technique, you know, and certain cymbal, you know, lines that came out were just exclusively hand hammered.
Right, and Sabian has that HH line, which is the hand hammered. So, and you know, my dad bought this is like, I think when my parents first moved to the United States, because they used to live in England, when they first moved over, my dad, you know, bought drums and cymbals, and he ended up with a Sabian hand hammered, like a 20-inch ride, I think. And I think it's still the ride that he plays today, but it sounded great, and it still does. It's, you know, it's nice, heavy, sort of pingy kind of ride, but he's liked it for a long time.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's you know, once you find one of those cymbals, it's like you kind of want to just hang on to it forever. And I still haven't found mine yet, so I'm still on that journey. But yeah, when you brought up the topic of, you know, looking at affordable cymbals, you know, I kind of just like, I went to Instagram, but also like I went to Facebook, and I kind of just typed in cymbals, and, you know, started following all these cymbal brands, and I wrote a couple of them, and they responded, which I thought was really cool. That, you know, I could you know, send a message to Meinl, and they may respond with just like a generic like auto reply, like, oh, we'll look into it, thank you for contacting us. But there was one company, where is it on my thing? I'm gonna butcher this. Savern, or yeah. Anyways, but yeah, the guy brought me back like super quick. I'll spell it. It's Sover. Savern cymbals. Sure.
Is it Sovereign?
Sovereign. Ha ha ha.
I'm not reading it. I'm just guessing.
You're guessing from my horrible dyslexia, which is awesome, because people are like, they're like, it's like almost like a guessing game. It's like, is he gonna? Oh, there it is. But yeah, he like wrote me back super quick, and you know, and just said, yeah, we, you know, they're trying to break into that market, because I think there is a market for people wanting high quality cymbals that are, you know, different, you know, but also affordable. And I think it's good that these companies they've got good customer service, because that's you know, always speaks volumes of their product if they respond quickly.
Yeah.
But that was that one, and there was one other one. Who was it? Oh, Zion Cymbals. Yeah, they wrote me back pretty quick, and yeah, they have cymbal packs, and they do a lot of the hand hammering. But I guess because the way they keep it cheap is they're selling it from their website. They don't have like a distributor, which when you do that, you're getting into more money because people are they're trying to make a buck, which you can't blame them. But
Right.
it does make the cost go up just a bit.
Yeah. Well, it's like when these like traveling salesmen come to your house to sell you like windows or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, obviously I'm going to get raked over the coals on these windows because they have to pay for you to like come to my house and show me the windows.
Mm-hmm.
Then like, so all these like extra steps that I have to take. So, I mean, if you can get all that crazy stuff out of the way,
Mm-hmm.
You can get yourself a much, more affordable product.
Yeah. Well, and you can almost customize your cymbal sound you're wanting because you have more direct contact in saying, hey, I'm looking for a cymbal that's kind of dry, but then it has like a bright bell, and they're like, well, maybe we can modify it, and do some
Right.
things like that, which is super cool. And then after we had that the podcast with Mike Martin, and he talked about using the Saluda cymbals, I went on their website and kind of tooled around, and they do multiple things. They fix cymbals. They can modify your current cymbals, which is, I would never thought of like, hey, taking like my cymbal I kind of like and maybe transforming it and making it sound the way I do want it, which is pretty,
Right.
which is pretty amazing. I would never have thought to really do that. But then also, I was looking at their prices. I think you did too. They're pretty well priced.
Yeah, so they're surprisingly well priced for the fact that someone's customizing a cymbal for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I tried reaching out to them. I think it was this afternoon because it like hit me. I'm like, who am I forgetting? And I was like, oh, it's Saluda, and then it was like 2 hours ago. So if they respond during the podcast, that would be hilarious. But if they don't, I won't hold it against them.
Right.
Yeah. But you just got some cymbals here recently too, didn't you?
Right. So I have this, I don't know, it's I bought this cheap old PV drum kit to keep at my guitar player's house in his basement, so I don't have to lug mine up and down his stairs all the time when we go to practice.
Yeah.
So now the only thing I was lugging back and forth were my cymbals, and I was like, well, that's kind of a pain in the butt because I'd have my big drum kit set up at my house, and then I'd have to like tear down all my cymbals, put them in a bag, go over there, and I was like, I could save myself some time if I got some cymbals, kind of with the intention to keep them at his house. And I had been looking at the Peisty PST7s for a while because Bonzolium actually did a video about one of the PST7, like I think it was an 18-inch crash, and he compared it to this vintage 2002, and he was talking about how similar they sounded. And I was like, you know what? That sounds like it's kind of in my wheelhouse. So I was looking around for about a year, poking around every time I was on eBay or something, looking for what the prices were. And they've always been around the same point. And then I found this one that was exactly what I wanted. It's the PST7, what they call the Session, which is the thinner cymbals. And I had not played them. I did not, never touched a set. They don't carry them at like guitar centers and stuff because they're not made out of Zildjian cymbal material. But so I was like, you know what? And I looked at these ones, and they were like half the price of what they normally are. So it was a full, hi-hats, a 20-inch ride, an 18-inch crash, and a 16-inch crash for it's just a couple $100. It was cheaper than one of my crash cymbals that I use on my Giant Beats, the whole set. So I was like, you know what? I'll do it. And my first thought was like, if I buy them and they just don't really sound the way I think they're going to sound, I don't really want them. They're like half the price of all the other ones that are for sale out here. So I could add $50 to them, sell them in a month, and probably, make a little bit of a profit.
Yeah, and then go on that search again for that like you said, the unicorn of cymbals.
Right.
But what do you think about them?
Well, I really like them. I guess my only critique is that I think the top hi-hat is a bit thin,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where if I'm playing it with the tip of my stick, like I can hear the difference between when I put more pressure on the pedal.
Oh,
So like,
okay.
so
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you tap it and then like it fully closed, it makes a chink, but then like makes like a higher pitched chink the more you push down on the pedal.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So you can tell it's sort of bending the metal just a little bit.
Just a bit, yeah.
But I mean, for having them in my buddy's basement, and we played a gig this past weekend and we got rained out. Well, not like, but we knew it was going to rain.
Yeah,
so like
it
halfway
was.
through it's drizzling and all this. So I'm like, I'm glad I have my little cheapo cymbal set here and not my, my big, huge, expensive one.
Yeah, for sure.
So it sounds good enough. It definitely, like, to be honest with you, if that was all I had for cymbals,
Mm-hmm.
I would play out with them every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone would give me a hard time about it. It's not like, I'm not playing that. It doesn't sound like what used to come with like the entry level drum kits. You get like a saber cymbal or something weird. That just it sounds like a tin can lid.
Yeah, with like 3 press prints from like a factory press. It's like, ching,
Yeah.
ching. There it is. It's like, really? That's it?
You gotta sand the edge so you don't cut yourself on it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but they sound really really kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean I if I didn't have my big cymbals, I'd play them all the time, and I wouldn't really worry about it. And it makes me feel like, man, I wasted my money on these big cymbals, but
Yeah.
that's what you do.
Yeah, I hear you, because those vinyl hi-hats I bought, they put me back, it was about $300, and it's like, you're like, oh, just like it hurts, and like, and you have the buyer's remorse, and
Yeah.
you just, but then you adapt, and it's like, that's part of being a drummer is, there are some costs, it's like, I get so envious of guitar players and bass players because, the most expensive pedal you could get, I think, would run about like $200, and like, but like you can't find a cymbal, like a real high quality cymbal. Like, say if you're wanting like an 18-inch crash, and you wanted a Pisces, it's gonna be hard to find one, already at that $200 mark if it's maybe used, or you lucked out on some weird website like on like eBay or Craigslist.
Right.
But
Yeah.
buying it brand new, it's a stretch. It's a big stretch.
Well, you say that about pedals, and I play the guitar a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and I've dabbled in the pedal market,
Mm-hmm.
and I found a unicorn pedal that I want, but I can't rationalize ever buying it. It's by Strymon,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called the Strymon Big Sky.
Oh,
And
that sounds wicked.
it's like I guess it's like a reverb pedal, but it's like the king of reverb pedals.
Mm-hmm.
It just this big, like, open, airy sky. It's kind of like have you ever listened to like Explosions in the Sky?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of that you can do a lot of that stuff. There's a lot of like just ambient sort of reverby sound. It's I don't know, it's the unicorn of reverb pedals in my mind. But the thing's like $450.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
But is it like custom made pretty much by the people, or
It's like a boutique pedal,
boutique
but
pedal? Yeah.
They sort of mass produce them, I guess. But
Yeah.
as you do with like a, they're not like made in China coming
Yeah,
over, but
it's not like a Digitech or a
Yeah.
Ibanez pedal, because I remember being in bands and they're like, oh, I just spent $80 on this pedal, and I'm like, you spent $80 on the pedal, like, and it sounds great, and then I'm like, I spent this much money on this one cymbal, I could buy like 10 of those, and they're like,
Right.
and they just it doesn't like compute. They're like, whatever. But
Yeah.
I think now people are just their options are just more diverse, and also you can if you're wanting to add like sizzles, because like I remember I really wanted to like drill some holes in my cymbals and add a sizzle effect to it, and I think my dad, who's not a drummer, like talked me out of it. He's like, I wouldn't do that, and I'm like, you think? I don't know, and he's like, no, just I would not do that, and
Right.
It's like you can go buy a $20 sizzle attachment to put on your ride, and there you go. It's no big deal. Where I think there was like one, maybe ProMark had like a sizzle you could put on your on your cymbal stand, but it cost like $50 or $60 when I was back in high school. But now, they're like a dime a dozen. You can buy like one for $20.
Yeah.
And then also, I don't know, have you seen like the sim pads? Have you like really looked into that kind of stuff?
I don't know. I haven't really.
Okay. Well, they have this cool product now. They have just like the regular cymbal felts for all intents and purposes, even though they're like a cellular foam. But they have these other ones. They're called like modulators, and they actually will dampen the sound of your cymbals like sustain, which is really rad. So like you can put some of them almost get to be like almost 6 inches big, and you put them under your bell, and it completely changes the way your cymbals will sound. It's amazing. And I think it's like $30, and it's like, ooh, I want it dry. Okay, here we go. Throw this big one on. I want a little more washy. Let's throw the smaller one on, and it works. And that's just money saved right there. Yeah.
Do you follow? It's a YouTube guy. His name's David, but his handles are David R.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've heard of him.
He does a bunch of like drum hacks.
Oh yeah. Because he did like just a ton I saw like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, he's got one of them. He takes like one of these like he does it with a couple things. One, he gets like a cheapo like a steel snare drum, like the one that would come with like an entry level drum kit, and he hammers it out, and he plays it before and an after, and it sounds completely different. But I think he also does one, if I remember correctly, where he takes like one of these cheapo like entry level just like brass cymbals or something, and hammers it out and changes the tone of it quite a bit, and it actually sounds much more sort of like earthy and dry and sort of wispy that way. And I have a bunch of these crappy cymbals just lying around my house. When I bought like a used drum kit, it came with crappy cymbals, and I just kind of threw them in the closet. And then so I'm almost tempted to give it a shot and just take the bullpen hammer out and start whacking at these cymbals. I'm not using them for anything else.
Yeah, so. That would be so awesome to try that for sure, because if you maybe did just like one cymbal, you're like, I'm out maybe $60, maybe less, just depending on how much I paid for them originally. But to experiment like that would be, really cool. I would totally do that. And I'm actually thinking about doing that with my my broken china.
Oh yeah.
I've always wanted to like try like sanding one and seeing like how it what I could do to like change it up.
Yeah. I mean, the cymbals I have that I'm thinking about doing it with have a street value of about $0 anyway. So, I mean, they are literally like if you went to Guitar Center and said, give me the cheapest drum kit for like a 10-year-old kid that has cymbals on it already, they're like that. They're basically pressed pieces of brass that have no sort of, it's about as close to a blank, I guess, as you could get, but it's a low quality metal. Yeah. But I think just to be able to hear, oh wow, I hit it and it sounds like garbage right now, but then hit it again and be like, oh, it sounds a little better than garbage.
Yeah, it's a little bit more musical.
Yeah,
I would try that. I would and I think worst comes to worst, you could be like, here's some abstract art you can hang up on your wall, and like, what happened there? Oh, that's it's a new thing. Just don't worry about it.
And the other thing people are doing with like if they crack a cymbal is they'll so say you crack the edge on like a 16-inch cymbal, you could either recut it to be like a 15-inch cymbal now, right? Or I've seen people taking it and making just like a hoop, like a ring, and putting it like just inside their snare rim.
Oh yeah,
so it's like, I don't know what you'd call it, a snare stacker. It's kind of like a
it's almost like setting your like a little splash on your snare drum and just like hitting it and that kind of that chingy kind of
industrial sound almost.
Yeah. And I've also seen people like just taking their cracked cymbals and like making stacks out of them. Taking like a broke china and I've got a broke 12-inch splash. Let's smash them together and see what we get, because that's a new thing, because stacks weren't popular when we were in school.
No.
And all of a sudden now everybody, your kid is not cool if it doesn't have a stack kind of thing. Especially with some of these like gospel like shred session guys all have a stack somewhere on their kit, and it sounds cool. It's just not my kind of thing.
Yeah.
But so what other places? We've talked about going to like Craigslist or eBay. Are there any like those other kind of places you go to like search for cymbals?
That's typically it for me. I mean, I'm kind of out of the market right now, but what I do every now and then, if I have like a half hour at the end of the day, is I'll go through Craigslist and I'll do like the local search for drums, and I'll try to find somebody who doesn't know what they have. So like I'll type in drum or cymbal and hit go and see what pops up. And I mean, sometimes you get people like, this person doesn't know what they have, and then sometimes you get those like buffoons that are like, I have a 7-piece 1988 Pearl export kit, needs new heads, hardware's all pitted and rusted out, like $1,200. You're like, come on, man.
Yeah. Or
no one's buying that.
Or you see like, I've got a custom DW kit and it's like the Pacific Drum Company. Like it's like, no, that's not a DW. Just because it says it in really tiny font on the drum head, doesn't mean it's a DW kit. And they're like, no, it's a DW. I'm like, the lugs are not even the same. Don't even try. But
right.
I like to go on Goodwill auction online and type in cymbals spelt both ways. So, the SYM and then the S, and then the CUM way. And then also people will also leave off the O when they spell cymbals. And I'm a bit amazed sometimes the things that pop up, especially when they spell cymbals SY. They'll, like, oh, here's a 14-inch pair of A custom hi-hats, $15, and it's an auction.
Right.
So it's almost like eBay. So, people keep bidding, and but it's definitely a good way to check out and find those hidden gems out there because, like you said, sometimes people just don't know what they have.
Yeah, you're probably going to find a lot of people selling other people's stuff when you go to a place like that too. I know when I was in Florida, we used to there used to be a lot of estate sales. So like, this old man lives in a house by himself, and his family all lives up in Ohio, and then he kicks out, and they're just like, they hire somebody to go through his house and just put a price tag on everything. So like you could walk into a house and this guy's got this old vintage Ludwig drum kit set up with like these cymbals from like the 70s that he bought when he was 40 years old, and whoever's marking this stuff up doesn't really know what it's worth, and you can get some good deals that way. I mean, you kind of feel a little bad about yourself when you do that.
It's like this, this used to belong to a dead person.
This guy died yesterday, and I'm going through his bedroom looking at his toothbrush has a price ticket on it. It's happened actually, not toothbrush, but I went into an estate sale once, and I walked by the bathroom and I looked in and I saw that the light was on, like you could go in there and buy stuff. And I looked, and he had an electric razor on the counter and it had a price ticket on it. Oh. I was like, this guy could have used this like 3 days ago. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. It's like, this is the guy's dentures. Why are we selling this? This is good.
Individual priced teeth.
Yeah. Price teeth. You need a molar. Here's a molar. Let's see. It fits. Yeah.
But I don't know. But I think my best cymbal buy ever was, well, it's kind of not too long of a story, but I played this set of Paiste. They were the older 20 series hi-hats, or 14-inch 20 series hi-hats, and it sounded great, and I loved them. So I bought them at Guitar Center. I had this like old Gretsch guitar that I traded in for him, and I liked them a lot. And then I wanted this second set because I was in another band at the time, and I wanted a set just to keep in this kid's basement. And so I went online. I found this, like, it was a Paiste 802s, which were sort of like the precursor to the PST 8s, I guess. Actually, the 802s and the Alphas were sort of the same breed, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I bought this set of 14-inch 802 like heavy hi-hats for like $40 on on eBay, and they sounded great.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe it, and so I made a video, and it's on my YouTube channel. I'll probably put a link to it or something on the
For sure.
on the Instagram. But it's my 14-inch master, or not masters, but my 14-inch 20 series hi-hats, which cost me like $250. That was like the price ticket on them. Played right after this $40 set of hi-hats, and I mean, there's a little bit of a difference, but not
too much.
Not a $210 difference. So
yeah.
But I mean, if there's somebody that wants to outfit themselves in decent quality stuff,
Mm-hmm.
You can sound really good without without killing yourself financially.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I mean, I found like 3 of my favorite cymbals all in pawn shops.
Yeah.
And that's after I conned the person out of like, they just, like you said, they just didn't know what they had. And, I'm like, oh, you have a 16-inch Z custom Zildjian Crash? Okay. You've got 30 on it. And I'm thinking, let's just see if I'll just ask for 20, and I'm like, hey, will you take $20 for this? Yeah. I'm like, awesome,
Yeah.
And they're like, I feel bad at first, but I'm like, they don't know. I mean, or they just don't care, because some of these pawn shops, it's all about moving, like, the guns and the,
Right.
the TVs and stuff like that. And the musical instruments kind of get they're like, oh, it's just that crap over in the corner. It's collecting dust kind of attitude. And they weren't even like, it was like a rinky dink, like, it was a sketchy place. And,
Yeah.
and like the floors were all warped. And like, I'm like, where's your music section? And they're like, oh, it's over there. And like, you had to like literally dig through like just random stuff. And I'm like, and I just stumbled across them. I'm like, it's worth a try. So
Yeah. If the guy agrees to it, I mean, go for it.
Well, and I'm actually eyeballing a pair of 14-inch A custom hi-hats. I think they're the projection ones at a pawn shop, and they've been there for like at least 3 years. Like,
Yeah.
I'll continually go back, and like I've asked the guy, like you've got 200. That's that's a little high. I'm like, we take 150. He's like, yeah, I'll take 150. I'm like, damn it, I don't have $150. I'm like, so I'm hoping, because I just went in there last week. I looked, and like I put a little mark on it to see like how much dust I'd collected. I'm like, yeah, this has been here. This is never gonna go away because it's like hidden. And so I think when I get a little cash, whenever that is, I'm gonna like, hey, 150 or 125, and I'm hoping he's gonna be like, yeah, sold. I'm like, yes, success. It's always fun to walk out and feel like you just scored like a touchdown at a football game. It's the best
Right.
feeling.
Yeah.
So
That's nice.
So any other tips for the younger audience that's on that cymbal journey that we've all been on?
Who's got a good perspective is the band Wolfpack. I've talked about them before.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I mean, they play some high quality music. They play some stuff and people listen to it and they're just like, what the hell are these guys playing? This is great. And their cymbals they have cracked cymbals. Like they just kind of like, as far as drums go, they're really not doing anything special. They buy like a drum kit, whatever it is. They put like a tea towel over the floor tom, and they put like a t-shirt or their wallet on the snare drum.
Mm-hmm.
They're just playing whatever hi-hats they can find. They have a cracked like Zildjian, it's got not like a little crack. It's got like an 8-inch crack, maybe like a triangle taken out of it.
Yeah.
And they're just playing them, and you're like, what? These drums sound great. And it's that, like, now all those cymbal companies are doing like the Holy cymbals and like the Swiss hi-hats and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that same kind of sound. It's that somewhat, China-y, crashy sound that goes on, and it's
almost like worn in, kind of like already like it's like the who has the it's Zildjian. They have that crash cymbal. It looks like it's warped, and they did it on purpose. I'm like, really? That's wild. And it's almost like they want to have this played in sound, like it's been played for 20 years, and they're like, no, we want it now. We want that sound now. And it's funny, like all the methods you can do to age a cymbal to make it sound a certain way. I know with like my sand ride that I have from Meinl, Benny Greb was like, no, I want it to sound like I just bought it from a vintage drum shop, and they took a sandblaster to it and,
Yeah.
and hammered it out till he was like, all right, that's it, stop. And which is cool. But it's also, I bet it's very frustrating for these cymbal companies because it's like, what do you people want?
Yeah.
You've got so many, we state of the art did this and that, and all of a sudden you're like flipping like, no, we want it to be kind of worn. It's like, which one is it? I bet it drives them nuts. The changing of tastes and all of that.
It must be hard to keep up with it because, everyone's, we're going through like this like rebirth phase, like where people are just trying to like, music's kind of, I don't know, not to point any fingers, but you get some people that, like, it's so overproduced and just like, I'm thinking of like Justin Bieber's and like those guys that are just like, it's all sounding the same, whether you're Adam Levine. I mean, it's just, a bunch of writers writing, 12 people writing one song and it's got nothing unique about it. So I think people are just like reaching for whatever they can find that makes them stand out or makes it a little unique or makes it different. And so I think we're at that period in time where, we haven't found the next, awesome, we're overdue for like a grunge phase or like, something new that just, that has its thing,
Well, it's like my favorite band right now is Mute Math, and like their drummer, like I think he's been sponsored by like CNC drums and like the like Turkish actual cymbals. It's like that's the brand, and like he still goes back to like his rinky dink like Rogers like 1970s kit that's like falling apart, and I think he's just like, here's the sound I like. It's hard to replicate it, so once I find it, I'm just gonna stick with it. Right.
Yeah. And I mean that's how I am with drum heads a little bit. I love the sound of the drum heads I have now, and when I just put new drum heads on my my practice kit, and I bought Evans heads because I was a Guitar Center and that's all they sell, Zildjian cymbals and Evans heads, and
and Pearl drum sets. Yeah.
Well, yeah. The other part too is trying to be a brand loyalist. I really like the ProMark drumsticks that I play. So they're all made by Diodario, and Diodario owns Evans, right? So I was like, let's try to, I'll stay in-house with one thing. Maybe I can find like one company to support instead of put my money everywhere. So I was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot. And I just don't like, I got the EMAD or whatever they call
the EMAD head. Yeah.
Is that EMAD's Evans, not Remo, right? Remo's a Power Stroke.
Power Stroke. Yeah, you're right.
So I bought the EMAD, and it just doesn't sound the same as my Super Kick, and it doesn't sound bad. I mean, I don't think it sounds horrible. A lot of people probably like that sound a lot, but I'm just so used to that one sound that when I hit this thing, it kind of like surprises me a little bit. But I did goof around with it at Tuesday at band practice and got it to sound a little better. But,
yeah. It's hit or miss with drum heads, and obviously with cymbals as well. It's like trying to find the unicorn, which would be a cool name for a cymbal company if you think about it, like Unicorn Cymbals. I don't know.
Yeah, they have really pointy bells.
Pointy bells, and it's you kind of like. Have you seen that cool like soul tone that had like the colored like red and orange yellow cymbal?
No.
It's so rad. It's like it's almost like they took paint and like burned it into like the mold, and when they were hammering it, made like this like weird, I don't know, it's a really neat pattern. But
okay,
yeah, it looks good. I don't know about sound quality, but aesthetically it looks good. But yeah, I think wrapping up about talking about cymbals, I think there's so many options people can go to now. They can go to these smaller companies, and if you have the cash, you can get your own custom cymbal you want it. You can tell them exactly the dimensions, the weight, how big you want the bell, all that. And but also don't be afraid to like you said, mix and match.
Right.
I think we've entered into a better period of drummers not being such dickheads when it comes to having multiple brands on your kit. I think it's just because people now are like, well, I want it to sound this way, and who cares if it's a Sabian and a Paiste? You just move on. But and just like you said, trying secondhand I think is the best, because you're investing not a lot of money into something, and if you don't like it, you can always get rid of it pretty easy.
Yeah, it's like a new car. Like as soon as you drive a car off the lot, you've like lost value. And it's
For
like,
sure.
You get like buy a cymbal pack online. As soon as you open the box and take them out of the plastic sleeve, you're not going to get the same money for it. Even you're just like, oh, I played them once in my basement. Be like, so it's used gear. I want $100 less for it. So it's it's that same philosophy.
Yeah. Well, and when I was looking at the Salutis website, they have a lifetime warranty on their cymbals, which I think is yeah. So I think there's a couple limitations. It's like I think they would notice if you took like a hammer to it, and
right.
It's like no, I was playing it with regular sticks, like where they sticks with metal tips. It's like, well, maybe.
Could have been.
Well, I know Vic Firth makes those metal tip drumsticks. I'm like, who wants those? They would not sound good at all. But yeah, I think having incentives like that, and they actually do have like a buyback program where like they'll buy your used cymbals even if they're cracked, and you can use it toward buying a set of cymbals, which is also another great incentive. It's like being more flexible with your customers, and making sure they're taken care of. So there's and I also heard with Guitar Center, they have a pretty good warranty when it comes to their cymbals as well that you can add on. So that's always a good option if you needed to switch them out. It's like I just really don't like these. I want to return it, and they don't. I don't think they ask any questions, and they'll
Somebody was telling me a story about milking that system for all it's worth. Something like a guitar player, you can buy like the extended warranty. Yeah, and then for whatever reason, you have like 2 years to bring your gear back. Mm-hmm. And this one guy was basically like, it's like he would get a new guitar every like 2 years. You just almost like leasing a car. Like you just swap it out, and like they take the old one back. Like instead of getting like trying to sell it and losing a couple $100, you get like, I don't know. I don't know the system, but this guy was playing it like a fiddle, and just milking it for every dollar it was worth. It's probably why Guitar Center is going out of business. It's this one guy and his like $4,000 guitar.
You're probably right. Yeah, because I've read that article about how Guitar Center, it's actually struggling, and and not saying I would want to see a business fail, but I think the times are changing. People are wanting products directly from their source. I think, which
Yeah, exactly. And it's easier to, like, you don't have to go to a store now. And like we said, mycymbals.com, you can listen and get like a really good idea about what they're going to sound like before you go. You don't have to go to the store. Mm-hmm. So like the store, which is Guitar Center's model, is making the the wholesale club of musical equipment. And
I think that's part of like the Memphis drum store, if I'm not mistaken. So like going to like these like Vic's drum shop in Chicago, or like Steve's drum shop in like Montreal, Canada, they exclusively just do drum stuff and drum gear. So where you walk into Guitar Center, it's everything. Where if you go to an actual drum shop, the chances of finding some of these other cymbals on the store floor, it's a better chance. So you have a better chance of really trying them out before you buy them.
Right.
So. Well, cool. I think I know I learned a lot from just some tricks of looking on the internet and exploring. I think always helps, and don't be afraid to ask these companies questions. I think a lot of times they love it, because when I wrote the one guy this afternoon, and he wrote back, he's like, "Oh, thank you so much for reaching out to me. I'm so honored." I'm like, "No, dude, I'm honored. That you wrote me back." So they love it. So
yeah.
All right. Well, that was a good cymbal conversation, and people had asked me, "Where is Adam?" I'm like, "All right, just chill. We're both working very hard trying to get one together between work and work, and kids and kids. It's always fun to find time." So he's back. People, relax. It's all right.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm not sure what we'll talk about next week, or not next week, but in 2 weeks or whatever.
we'll talk off air because I really don't know. And I want to like pin us down to something like, oh, we're gonna talk about this, and like, never mind.
It never happens.
It never happens. So, all right,
Oh, well.
guys. Well, we'll see you later. So you guys take it easy, and yeah, that's it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.